Hey guys.
Hi everyone.
You're welcome to our YouTube channel.
You're welcome.
My name is Thankyou
And I'm wetheTizas.
And together
we are the Teasers.
I've been on this road more than once in my life, searching for the one that I would truly love. Tired, so I made a call to God above. So He sent you my.
Yeah. So for those that are
joining us for the
visiting
very
our
first
channel
time
for the first time, we want to say welcome first and foremost.
Yes.
We say welcome to
wetheTizas.
And for those that are returning subscribers, thank you so much for always coming back. If you haven't subscribed, but if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share, comment. I mean, don't hesitate to talk about the video and don't hesitate to share it to other people to watch. Don't be stingy.
Exactly.
You get
share
it?
the good news.
Share the good news. Share the love. Heal the world. Make it a better place.
Hallelujah.
Let's not go deeper. Anyways, so today we're going to be talking about something interesting, as always.
Usual.
Yeah, we're talking about
why marriages fail.
or why we think marriages fail. The things we're going to be talking about today is not an exhaustive.
They will return our part of school fees.
It's not an exhaustive.
Exhaustive.
An exhaustive.
Please, shout out to my school.
Please shut up. It's not an exhaustive list.
Yes.
However, we feel that some of these things are important for you to know.
Yes.
So you could take cognizance of the symptoms when they begin to arise.
Yeah,
and then
take
you
precaution.
don't take precautions. Yeah, that's true. And you are well armed because you are foreinformed.
Mado.
Anyways,
What did they say that thing?
to be forewarned is to be forearmed.
Mad.
You got it.
We will return that refund back to your school.
Anyways, so
let's get right into it.
Good. So the fundamental, I believe, what we believe is the primary reason why many marriages fail. Why we feel many marriages fail is because of one singular factor. Or the first factor, negligence.
Yeah.
Negligence is a compound word in this context. Like it means it applies to so many things. And for example, we start with negligence in duty.
Yeah, duty, very important.
Your duty as a husband, maybe a father, maybe you haven't given birth to children yet, but maybe a father, negligence as a lover, as a leader. I'm talking particularly for the man, and then negligence as a wife, as a mother, as a lover as well.
As a friend,
partner, like it can affect and begin to eat into the relationship, and this spans across so many factors. Let me say this. I heard my pastor say this, and it's true. For many people, they do not know so much about their spouse and the psychology of their spouse. So they just play negligence to that. For example, men are more physically stimulated. And we're going to do a video about that, how to handle a man, how to handle a woman. Maybe that will be the next video.
Yeah.
So you're just negligent of how you look and treat the man. Then there's one slim mama outside, not necessarily a slim mama, but there's one lady outside that is giving
all that you should
give, or all that they think you should give.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the person is drawn. Now I've heard people say that a man, no matter what you do, a man cannot be kept. A man that can be kept is the man that wants to be kept. That's half truth.
Yeah.
Because for everything good that you have, there is the effort on one side to maintain. You must maintain balance.
Exactly.
There's one end pulling and the other pulling to maintain balance.
Exactly.
It's not only me wanting to stay, but you have to make it comfortable and conducive for me to stay.
You must stir up my desire to stay.
Yes, you don't tell me that if I want to be kept, what are you saying? So if you cheat on me, I'll still want to be kept. What are you saying? Do you know? So there are so many things you can do to enhance it. I'm not saying that anybody that cheats shouldn't be responsible or take responsibility for their actions.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this, that you make the environment conducive. The same way temptation can thrive in certain environments. Love can thrive under certain environments too.
Absolutely.
So, negligence your emotions. Suddenly, because you guys are now familiar with each other, even your words.
Yeah.
You're now negligent of the person's emotions. The person is expressing dissatisfaction in something, and I beg, you move, you get over it. Like when the person starts to get over it, I've learned something over time, that, and maybe I'm still going to have myself of the next video I want to share, but it's true. I've learned that every partner can be trained.
Yeah.
You can train your partner to become what you want.
Exactly.
Now, before you conclude, let me explain because it may sound like a harsh word.
It's the truth, fam.
What you expose them to, they, begins to form their own realities and perspectives in life. And when that is formed, they now become somebody that they were not. So if, for example, the example I gave before now, I said, you continue to say about her that, oh, she will understand, oh, she will understand. Guess what? That soft spot she had for you starts crystallizing, starts to become harder and harder. Before you know, that sentimental soft lover that you had before ceases to be the same person.
Yeah.
Person now becomes hard and harsh. The same way you were giving them and expecting them to understand, they start to bounce off or reflect that same emotion to you.
Yeah.
And before you know it,
it becomes something else.
the person turns to somebody else. So, negligence is an important factor in making sure that you make sure the relationship remains the same, remains as good as you hope.
Don't neglect the things that once mattered before.
Yes.
Don't neglect the person's feelings, empathy, and all of that.
Yes.
But those things are important. And then you see, there's another thing that makes a lot of marriages fail, and that's marital stress. A lot of people are under stress in their marriages, and you're wondering why they are depressed, why they seem to be angry all the time. But it's because of a lot of stress. For example, a very common example is this. So you go out, you come back, the house is kept, everything is all right, children are well put together, and to you it seems like it's an organization that is run by 100 people, but it's just one woman doing the whole of that job.
Yes.
So what do you think the woman is going to feel like?
Yes.
She's going to feel as if, my life is not even progressive, all I'm doing is this.
Yes.
For a man, he struggles, he goes out, he gets the money and all of that, and all you know how to do is give me, my name is Jimmy, and all you care about is to go and hang out with your friends. Yeah, my school needs to pay me more money. I'm making them proud. So the man is under stress because he's bringing in so much to the house, but he can't see anything coming out of it. It's just food, clothes, chilling, hanging out, and those things are not bad. But then we're saying when it gets to the point where it puts pressure on the other person, then it becomes a problem. So it's just like control the stress. Sometimes people seem like they're alright. Sometimes they don't even seem like they're alright. But it's because a lot of things are happening in the home. For example, one marital stress too can be if they've not had a child. And then both families are putting pressure on them. Yeah. So there's pressure from this side, there's pressure from that side. And then at the end of the day, it seems as if the reason why these two people fell in love cannot be found anymore. And then they think, if this is going to be how it will be forever, there's no point in this thing anymore. So pressure, marital stress, marital pressure, it makes a lot of relationships fail. And
just a casual example. Think about some marriages where the in-laws are always and constantly visiting, and friends. There are some guys that are always bringing their friends to the house. Some are always bringing their family, or some ladies that always bring their family problems to the house. You know what? You are putting the person in the position to always be pressured to satisfy your family. Imagine that. Okay, it's a casual example, but it's true, especially in Africa. Where the person has to constantly cook, cater for the family. When to travel, your wife goes to the house, and of course there are people that love to do it. They find pleasure in it. But then maybe your spouse doesn't, but she does it because she loves you, or he loves you, because it goes both ways. Then the person now is now under pressure. Some families where the brother or the sibling, sister, anyone is living in the house, so they have more people to cater for.
Yeah.
Just those are casual examples, but they are relatable on all levels.
Yeah.
It now puts so much pressure on the relationship and causes the person to feel like, man, all I do in this marriage is work, labor, as if I'm the labor prefect. Anyways.
Wow, baby, I'm sorry. I just want to give a thread as to what you just said. So, for example, let's say the man brings his family, or the woman let's say the man. So let's say the man brings his family over, or his friends, and then he just calls and says, oh, I'm coming with my friends, so make sure there's food and all of that.
Yeah.
And She took children to school. She cleaned the house. And let's assume there's no maid.
Yes.
She did all of that. She has no time to rest. She has to do laundry. Because even we said that we're having in this house, I do laundry like every 2 days.
Yeah.
You know. So she has to do all of that. She cooks for your friends. She caters for you guys. She serves you guys on the table. She's done with that. She clears the kitchen. Then you guys go to sleep. Then that's the time you now remember you want to be nice to your wife. And now start saying honey or sweetheart. At that moment she's stressed. At that moment she doesn't want to be touched. Because she refuses to be intimate with you, it now affects your mood the next day. Then you start to respond to her in anger. Already that it will just continue forming a cycle.
Yeah.
And before you know, you say, I'm done. I'm tired. I can't have this anymore.
That's true.
So it's a circle. From one thing it leads to another.
That's
so
true.
Stress is terrible on marriage.
Stress is terrible. Stress. Stress. You must create time to relax. You know, some people say, why you are going on vacation for what? What are you saying?
Yes, baby. Yesterday, Reverend Funke Adejuma, I was on Instagram and I opened, and she said, when was the last time you and your spouse just took a night off and went to a hotel to rest? Which is a valid point.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes realize that your relationship matters outside, in the midst of every other thing else. So,
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And one of the reasons, another reason why we think that many marriages fail is because people do not pay attention to the fact that change is a constant part of the human life. I don't use the word evolution, but we evolve, we mature, we continue to mature till we age. You know, we mature till we age. That's why there's no past tense for mature. It is not matured. There's nothing like that. You mature. You continue to increase. That's for human beings. Now we mature. You know, so maturity is a continuous process. That means people change. What somebody liked last week or last month, last year may not be the same thing they like today, tomorrow. I mean, there was a time, for example, this is a very casual example. I didn't like okra soup. I hated it all my life. Just looking at it,
It used to throw up. That's how bad it was.
if I put it in my mouth, I was just vomit. It was terrible, you know. But you know,
Yes, baby. Speak out. Let it be heard.
all these proud people. You know, when I got married, and that's the only okra soup I've eaten, my wife's. Actually, like I don't even try it outside because I don't want to try myself. You now be scarred and be returned back to your past. But basically, I know for sure that I evolved. I learned to tolerate it more, and I began to eat it. Enjoy it. If I started making demands for it more often than normal, you know, at one point it was like the best I was eating. So that's change.
Yeah.
That's change, and that's for a simple thing, as casual as food.
Yeah.
But it applies to every other thing in life. People evolve, people change, and so some people, when they notice that their spouse has begun to change, they say, "You're not the girl I used to know." You're not the... Of course, they cannot remain the people you used to know. They're growing.
Yeah.
They're exposed to newer things.
Exactly.
The world is changing.
Exactly.
So it's affecting. Listen, people respond to change differently. As things are changing around them, their attitudes still change. You didn't know that. I mean, you didn't know your spouse was this kind of person until they went on Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, social media too can have influence. So many things, or maybe a particular colleague came around and suddenly your spouse has changed.
Yeah.
See, so many things affect us daily.
Yeah.
Or she came across on a particular sermon or a particular teaching on Revelation that completely radicalized their thinking. Maybe your spouse before thought that money should be spent only on food, clothing, and suddenly they have grown in Revelation and know that there's need to give.
Yeah.
To different causes. You know, there's need to give for different causes in life. Then suddenly you now have a problem with the fact that they want to give.
That's true.
So, you know, it can destroy the man. So when you know that I have that expectant mindset, and this is one of the reasons why marriages fail, of course, because people grow, people mature, people change. Change is constant. And then people find it difficult to deal with change. But you must know this, that no matter how amazing your spouse is, they will change. It may not be you. Maybe you want to remain the same way, whatever. But think about it this way. Your desires 10 years ago, 5 years ago, as much as 5 years, as 5 months ago, are not as your desire state.
Yeah.
They're not the same
That's
thing.
why they say change is constant.
Yes.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
As long as you're growing. Except you are not growing.
That's
Except,
true.
you have remained stagnant in life, everything, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Then, of course, your desire stays the same. But as long as you mature,
Yeah, that's true.
they cannot remain the same.
Absolutely.
So change is one thing that affects a lot of marriages.
Yeah.
And then soon end because some people cannot deal with. They live in the fantasy of who they used to know.
Yes.
Rather than
Adapting
growing and
to the
adapting. That's the word.
person.
Adapting
That's-
to what is happening. Marriage, the key secret of marriage is adaptation.
Yeah. And
One
that's
of
why
these.
many people say you grow with your spouse.
That's true.
Both of you will grow. You experience different things. Life may hit you in different ways.
Yeah.
But then the beauty of marriage is that love is still sustained through the growth.
Yeah.
It's like a child who is like children who have siblings. So because they are growing doesn't mean they begin to hate each other. No, they enjoy that now they can bond in better ways. The things they couldn't do before they can now do because they are growing.
Yeah.
So it's to grow with your spouse, it's adaptation to whatever happens. And you mentioned something about how Instagram can influence people's minds, and I know that's one major area that can be a factor in why marriages fail is what other people see, the power of thoughts. Like what you see influences your mind. They say our eyes are the gateway to our mind. So for example, now you were not a social media person when you guys met.
Yeah.
And then you guys were perfect. I mean, you thought that your marriage was perfect.
That's true.
You guys were content with what you guys had. I mean,
That's
you were
true.
able to eat, living a comfortable life, being amazing together.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you start to explore social media. You start to explore Instagram, Twitter, and then you start to see other things. And those things you see now make you think that your marriage is not really it.
Yeah.
And you're admiring other people's lives.
Yeah.
And so you think that the life that they portray on Instagram is the reality of their lives. In many cases it may be, but I always say pictures are just an organized reality. So you see somebody looking so beautiful in a picture, you don't know how much effort it took for them to get to that picture.
Yeah.
In fact, many people borrowed stuff to take beautiful pictures, to be influencers. And then you think that, well, because we're not living in this kind of house, then my marriage is not, it's not giving me what it should. Because I'm not able to dress like this, my marriage is not giving me what it should. And then the things that were so important and were the things that had value to you now lose value, because at the end of the day, what we are seeing are the vain things of life, in quotes. And so you judge the success of your marriage based on what people portray on the outside.
Yes.
So because it influences your mind, you start to sit down and think that, you know what, maybe this thing is not working for me.
Yes.
And then you start to think that the grass is greener on the other side. You don't know if it is pyrogyra green. First of all, you don't know if it's a disaster. Second of all, if indeed it is greener on the other side, there are people working to make that grass green on the other side. So don't sit down and just think that, oh, my own marriage is not good. Instead, let it inspire you to do something better in your own relationship. If you see people taking beautiful pictures going on dates, how about even if you don't have the means, save for 2 months, save for a month, and then you and your spouse can go on a date. It must not be the fancy thing. It is not about the quantity of how much you do, how much you spend. It is about the quality. In marriage, I think that's a fundamental factor, that in marriage it's not necessarily about quantity but quality. So you see some people who, they don't necessarily have money as the world may term rich, but they are living beautifully. They have a comfortable life. So letting what we see affect our minds can be a reason why many marriages fail. And I think that's why, well, is this a debatable argument? But that's why we hear a lot of marriages failing now. This and that, this and that, this one happened, that one happened. It's just what we see. It's just,
I even forgot to mention this from the beginning, but apart from the obvious reasons, that is infidelity, and abuse, like mental, emotional, or physical abuse. These are just other reasons why marriages fail. And as she was speaking, I remember the story that was told once, and it may not, your influence or the thing that may influence you may not even be social media. It may just be your neighbor,
neighbor.
or something you heard. Sometimes just gossip,
Yeah.
or talk. Maybe you went to the salon and they're talking about a particular marriage, and then you were drawn into it. For example, a story was told about a woman who, she and her husband were living together, and their kids, and every one of them in the house ate a piece of meat. The husband ate 2 pieces of meat, and they were happy. Suddenly, the children heard the neighbor's children talk about how they would eat 5 pieces of meat. They had so much meat in their food, So one day she went to visit, she heard that the children said that, and the husband came back, and she was upset. She was so upset as to why they were not living as their neighbors were. So he nagged to the husband, so that they needed to be eating more meat in the house. How can their neighbors eat more than them and everything? So one day she decided to visit the neighbor to, just, build a good relationship and all that. While they were gisting, food was served. Now, normally when she serves the food, what she does, especially for nighttime, because the children are in school in daytime, so when they come back, eat snacks, and then in the night, when she wants to serve food, they turn off the lights when they are eating, or they eat in a dark corner. And she does it deliberately because children are still growing. So the woman, of course, the neighbor was there, she could not chase her away, and children needed to eat, so she served the woman too. But when she joined them in their eating, she soon realized that they were eating swallow, eba, and vegetable soup. But inside the vegetable soup, she had lumps of amala. So the children always thought they were eating meat. But what happened is the woman put lumps of amala to portray or deceive them that there was so much meat in the food. But meanwhile, they were not eating it.
Yeah.
So this woman ate it, and then she saw it rather and realized that it was an illusion.
Yeah.
So she took what was as I said, an organized reality, and began to put pressure on her husband and her marriage. What that now did was it created first that circle of pressure, stress, and then even stirs up the competitive attitude. Before you know, you start to pay attention to other marriages. What if this house they are doing something that we are not doing, and all that, and then you see you can destroy the marriage. And it leads me to one of the major things one of the other things that we believe affect or cause the end of many marriages is that many people do not have a control of power over their mind, over their thoughts. Your thought, listen, your mind is the seat of all things you do in life. Seat of reasoning. So when you reason is where you make decisions, conclusions for life, judgments of people and everything. So if the devil is interested in your business, if the devil is interested in your health, if the devil is interested in your spiritual work, the devil is interested in your relationship with people, he will be interested in your relationship with your wife.
Yeah.
And one of the ways he influences us is by desires, and he comes through our thoughts. So he makes a mountain out of a molehill. Yeah. He begins to suggest what is in there for you to see it as though it is. And before you know it, that spouse that was amazing, that was the dream girl for you, starts to irritate you. Yeah. Why? Because he's pointing you to something the person isn't doing. Yes. For example, that they are pressing toothpaste in the middle. It's now the predominant problem you have in your marriage over the fact that the person is providing food to eat. I mean, do you get it? So what shouldn't be a major concern now becomes a major concern, because he's highlighting. The devil is working on your emotions, and he's highlighting what shouldn't be highlighted. Something that you can simply suppress. He makes it matter to you so much.
Magnifies it.
He magnifies it. That's the word. He magnifies it. So you stop to appreciate the good things, and then you start to notice only the bad things. From pressing toothpaste, you notice that doesn't even wear slippers well. And I notice that the feet are ugly. Now it's that this clothes is even let's check his wardrobe set. Maybe very old clothes. I didn't marry a man of this. I remember yesterday when you wanted to make a decision between two things, how he decided this one is that. What kind of wisdom is that? No wonder. So some of the things they have confided in you start saying that no wonder they made this decision. So before you know, from toothpaste,
it spreads.
You have realized that your spouse is not the right person. From as simple as toothpaste. You know, that's just an example, but that's what your thoughts can do. We've heard of stories where people killed their partners, not because of any reason, infidelity and whatever, but because the thought was there and it lingered for a long time.
Yeah.
And they carried it out.
This is what we heard. Just assumed, and she killed the man.
Yeah. So you can just be so drowned in your imagination that you start to live in it.
Yes.
It now fosters your reality.
Exactly.
You know. Then when the relationship ends, you now say, why did we even come here? You know. So this is why even fights, conflicts linger in marriages, because it can start from something casual and then it progresses to something. So the devil continues to feed on it. You start to think. This is the reason why people fight for long.
Yeah.
Because you say, why should I make peace?
Yeah.
Why should I make peace? They must come and beg me. You are only thinking in your head though. It now forms. So when the person even comes to apologize, it's hard for you to receive them because in your mind you're already angry.
Yeah.
So thoughts.
Power.
The power of the thoughts. You know, you just go somewhere, somebody just says, I'm enjoying my life as a divorced person. There's nothing so wrong with your relationship, but you now start to buy the idea of being a single person. Again.
Yeah.
Then
Why?
Then you now end the relationship. So many people is the power of thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just the power of their thoughts. You know, so with these few points of ours,
We hope
that you have been
forearmed
by the information that we have given you.
exactly.
So that you do not end what God has given you.
Yeah.
Because can I tell you something? Because it is God doesn't necessarily mean it will always be good.
Yes, sir.
And because it is not good doesn't mean it is not God. Because the going not being good does not mean that it is wrong.
Yeah.
Does not always mean it is wrong.
For more on this, check his Instagram
Yeah.
and his Twitter.
Yeah. You know, as my people say.
If you do that, the man can give parables. So guys, we hope that you had an amazing time watching our video and you learned a lot. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the notification bell, and leave us a comment. Alright? And please follow us on our social media platforms. And come to church.
So thank you guys.
Thank you guys. See you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye. Squid Game. Yes, don't to Korean. What's it? Kumasamada.
Kamsamida. Yeah, I'm Samida. Everything has.
Do you have faith? 'Cause I found faith when I found you. Do you have faith?